Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checker TV and the Thursday Night Truck Series, the Super Speedway Series at Area 51 here. Definitely excited to bring you another race from the Talladega Super Speedway. Going to be another exciting battle tonight as we close in on the end of the season. Currently have our 8 playoff drivers in the championship hunt for that big trophy. Obviously, currently Gabe Butler kind of running away with it just a little bit, sitting atop of the point standings with 2,085 points. Todd Siebel's currently second place, up 4 positions last week at 2,063 points. We have a slew of drivers, all 1, 2, 3, 4 points behind them. And BK Anderson currently in third with 2,062 points. Eric Laurie in fourth with 2,057. Gary Slapinski with 2,056. JD Crow in sixth place with 2,053. Dean Wilkinson with 2051 and Vicente Guerrero with 2049. So as of right now, it's kind of a challenge for the best of the rest. Obviously, Gabe Butler has a 22-point lead over Todd Siebels, and just about everyone else has 1 or 2 points between them. So definitely kind of a race for second place at the moment, but who knows, anything can happen here. We're definitely excited to be back calling the action for you. Tonight, along with me, is Maxwell Caldwell. He'll be up here in the booth with me, and excited to have you back again this week. Maxwell, what are you looking forward to tonight?
We're here at Talladega. We run the majority of the races here, and this is where we've seen some of our more aggressive racing. So, like you said, Gabe Butler's kind of got a commanding lead right now in the points, which means second through eighth, they're desperation mode, right? They've only got 2 races left. They have got to make the most of every position they can get. I expect to see some very, very aggressive racing here tonight. 3 wide very early on. And these playoff guys, I don't expect to see them doing a whole lot of giving. I expect to see a whole lot of taking here tonight. They have nothing to lose and everything to gain tonight. Because really and truthfully, racing with a lot of these guys myself, second really doesn't matter to them. Like, the win is what you want. That championship is what you want. And nothing would feel better than taking down Gabe Butler, who has won multiple championships in this series and is looking like he could be going on to win another one. To take him down would be like taking down a Jimmy Johnson or a Kyle Busch or someone of that caliber, right? So for Area 51, he's the top dog, and he's got the target on his back right now.
Yeah, just looking at the stat sheet here, I mean, of the 9 starts we have so far, he has 9 top 5 finishes this season. The only one that rivals that, I believe, is Kyle Heath, who has 4 top 5s. So definitely a huge deal for Gabe Butler. I mean, he's had quite the season. Definitely had his fair share of wins. Now with 3 on the season after last week, looking really good in championship form. But it'll be exciting to see. Like we said, there's still a lot to go. There's a lot of bonus points up for grabs. There's a lot that can still happen tonight and tomorrow night. Obviously, Gabe probably looking to have a quiet night. Finish another top 5, maybe top 10 at least, pad that points lead, and just kind of sail into the final race of the season. So obviously, just about everyone else in the playoff or in the playoff format is looking to try and best him tonight in order to make some headway on that 22-point lead he has over Todd Siebels in second place. So definitely going to be exciting for sure. We have about 40 seconds left here in qualifying, so I would think just about everyone has at least started their lap if they do plan on taking one. As of right now, Jimmy Crow Jr. is atop the board with a 55.74. Gabe Butler also at a 55.74 in second place. Dean Wilkinson in third with a 55.74 as well. It's very, very tight at the front of this pack for qualifying.
Absolutely, and these are guys you expect to see up front, right? We've saw the last couple weeks since the playoffs started, Dean Wilkinson has been showing his strength in qualifying. He knows how important it is to run up front. I can't remember, he might have actually been close. I think he started second last week, close to getting the pole. Third tonight, it looks like it's going to be. And those top three separated by, I think, 7 or 8 thousandths of a second between those three. And as much as we see these guys up front, one thing to note before we go through our starting grid is we got some big names not here tonight. We've got Sebastian Marin not here. We've got Gary Klipinski not here. And we also have Kyle Heath. 3 really fast drivers we've seen over the last few weeks are not here tonight. So definitely going to be some shakeups in the playoffs here. And it's going to make things really interesting going into these last couple of races. It actually looks like a couple other playoff drivers may not be here. I'm not seeing Vicente Guerrero either. So definitely got some fast guys not going to be here. That means opportunity for some other drivers here tonight.
Definitely, and we'll take a second now to pull up that grid to see where those drivers are starting tonight. We mentioned Jimmy Crow Jr. having that fastest lap for qualifying. He will start on the pole. Gabe Butler in second, and Dean Wilkinson in third. Tom Dixon will be on the outside of row number 2. JD Crow, another one of our playoff drivers, will round out your top 5. Some of our playoff drivers do have the Dash P designation after their name. Some of them do not. We apologize for that, but Gabe Butler and Dean Wilkinson, JD Crow, and Eric Laurie in the top 6 are some of our playoff drivers for the evening. We do also have Robert DuPont, a pretty solid starting spot in the 4th row on the inside there, with Keith Horner to his outside. Derek Walker and Charles Johnson will round out your top 10 for the evening. Another playoff driver in BK Anderson there on the inside of the 6th row, with Bud Steele to his outside. Rolling into the second page of the grid here, Jay Hillard in 13th with Dave Bingle to his outside in 14th. Derek Gilray rounds out our top 15 with David Overstreet to his outside. Joshua Gathright in 17th, and Maxwell Caldwell in 18th. I believe you're not running tonight, right, Maxwell?
I registered the
Must have
wrong
just,
way.
yeah, no worries. So Maxwell won't actually starting with an 18th, just managed to register there. So he would be, I think, one of the first cars who did not take a time, obviously, but James Moen in 19th, and Bob Fitzgerald in the top 20. Dan Harrington in 21st with Jason Adams on the outside of row number 11. Randy Miner and Todd Siebels among more drivers. Some of the TW guys that did not elect to take a lap for tonight for qualifying. And we'll cycle to the end of the starting lineup. We have Richard Sanchez and Robert Jordan riding shotgun on the starting field tonight. So definitely going to be an exciting race, as we mentioned. And yeah, 75 laps here. Probably about 18, 19, maybe 20 laps if you can stretch it for fuel. Will be exciting to see how that plays out. And then really the biggest thing is, where do the cautions fall and how that affects how everything is going to come down for the pit strategy tonight. But definitely looking forward to it. It's the lights off on the pace car, which means we are going green this time by, Maxwell.
Absolutely, and one thing to note before we go green, we really don't have as big of a field as we typically do. Just about maybe 24 to 26 trucks here tonight. Don't know that exact number, didn't look at that just yet, but and a lot of big names not here tonight, right? A lot of guys that typically run up front. So maybe this pack might not be as aggressive as we think. With less trucks, you're not going to get as big of runs as we typically would, because even with 35, 36 trucks like we've had, they've all stayed tightly grouped up. So be interesting to see if this race has more of a green flag feel to it. But with the playoffs going on, we could easily see some mistakes cause some big incidents here tonight. But we'll have to find out how all that unleashes as the pace car starts looking toward pit road entry here. It pulls off down to the bottom. And Boomer, we're getting ready to go green for race 3 of these playoffs.
Definitely ready to start here tonight. The drivers will be released on the green flag, or the green lights as it were, in iRacing. Definitely going to be exciting to see how this action unfolds for the evening, as the 39 truck will lead them to the green flag here. Rolling through and on their way, green flag in the air for the second race of the playoffs.
Absolutely. Look at these truckers already lining up, trying to get big pushes. That inside lane has got 3 trucks pretty tight, but that outside pushing really good. The one of Gabe Butler on the outside trying to make a run there. A little bit of a different look on that truck tonight. Changed the paint up just a little bit, but they are almost dead even as they get ready to head into turn 3. This is a race of who gets a bonus point to lead that lap. You know Gabe is trying to cushion that points lead, and he knows he's got enough room that he has nothing to lose here tonight.
Definitely, for sure. Yeah, he's definitely going to try and get every bonus point he can, as he does just about every race. May even see him lead a lap and then duck back in the pack. But we mentioned a couple of his teammates missing from the evening in Gary Slapinski, who is one of his teammates and also in the playoffs, so gonna probably put him towards the back of that playoff field. But we still have quite a few playoff drivers in the field for the evening. Definitely cuts the teamwork down a little bit from those Team Bootnaka Esports guys, but they still have a fair amount of drivers in the field. Obviously, JD Crow and Eric Laurie still running tonight, as we actually see Jimmy Crow Jr. is going to get his lap led and jump to the back of the field. We'll pick up the front of the field now, which actually is Gabe Butler in that outside line. He's going to jump down in front of that 55 of Dean Wilkinson, another playoff driver. So still going to be the tale of, I would assume, maybe the tale of TW Motorsports versus Team Bootnaka. Those are pretty much most of our drivers that are here tonight in the playoffs, and definitely going to be exciting to see how that teamwork goes. Definitely hasn't been an easy running for anyone who is more of an independent or has 1 or 2 teammates. Definitely the bigger teams in this series have kind of shown their strength at just about all points of the season, but there's still a couple guys out there. Obviously, BK Anderson running out there without too many teammates in that Fruity Pebbles car. I believe 6th in line right now on the inside row. He had some good showings so far this season, and currently 3rd in points. He's going to look to try and almost do it a little bit by himself, and maybe try and find some friends that you don't always expect to have.
Absolutely. And, you know, he typically runs with Vicente Guerrero there, and he is missing in action tonight. Wishing him all well, hoping everything's okay there. But, you know, we've seen this 32 work with almost everybody, it seems like, in the field. So this is really nothing new to him. And I would be really interested to see if he could get up there to that 37 truck and work with Keith Horner Jr. It seems like them two have been able to make massive runs throughout the season when they line up. But up here for the lead, we see the one kind of ducking out of the way like you talked about. Maybe wanting to go to the back. He's got a secure points gap here. He doesn't want to throw it away, and he just cushioned it with a bonus point, I believe. So he's going to let some of his Team Bootnaka teammates up there kind of run, and now we'll see him drift back to the back, and I believe he's going to work with Jimmy Crow there, someone that runs part-time with Bootnaka. Going to try to work with him and see if they can't save a little fuel, get the right strategy, and be there at the end.
Yeah, we've definitely had a lot of drivers, especially last week. We had some chaos early on that involved quite a few of the playoff drivers, and eventually led to a couple of them having to retire early after later contact and in using their fast repair early. But definitely we've seen that quite a bit out of Gabe. Been a little shaky. Oh, we got a wreck! Wow, the 9 was pushing the 37 hard.
Are they going to keep the caution coming out, or are they going to slide up? And there's the yellow.
I did not expect that. Yeah, I saw the wiggle, and then unfortunately, it looks like the 37 of Keith Horner getting hooked a little bit there. Try and pull up a replay in just a second here.
Absolutely. Major kind of, I don't know how many cars was collected. I kind of caught the tail end of it myself, but I know that yellow had to have come out from spinning right there at pit exit. We've seen that before, right? Where pit exit can actually trigger a caution down there in that infield. But as we find the replay here, we can see what exactly happened in this incident to bring out our first caution.
Yeah, so a little bit of wiggle on the outside. Looks like the 9 kind of pushes the 37, and he gets out of line. Keith trying to get back into line, and man, just not enough clearance there, fortunately. Gets turned, and looks like for the most part we end up okay, which is always good to see. Maybe a little bit of chaos here at the back. Ooh, a late hit. Unfortunately, going to be some damage there for the 37 of Keith Horner. Unfortunately, looked like the 5 of JD Crow did get a little bit of damage there. See if we can pull up that view from him here. But yeah, definitely see if we can pull up the roof view. See the 37 kind of sliding down, and the 5 kind of tries to get out of the way and just can't quite get there. Try to
That's
pull up.
definitely a hard hit in the right front. That's going to
Yeah.
probably be some suspension damage. Wouldn't shock me a bit if he didn't try to go for the fast repair there just for where it hit the truck.
Try and see if we can pull up a view from the 9 of Charles Johnson. So, yeah, there you see Keith just kind of getting out of line. The 9 having a good run, and Keith trying to get back in line, and unfortunately just not having the space that he thought he did. A little bit of contact there on the inside for the 5, and just about everyone gets going. So, unfortunate for sure. We'll see Keith Horner probably the only one looking like he's coming down pit road this time, but we'll jump back live, and actually I take it back. We do have some pit stops coming through. A lot of our leaders seem to be heading down pit road, just about the entire field now, actually. So I do take that back.
Got a lonely leader up front.
Yeah, the only one so far staying out is Tom Dixon, and he will for sure be the only one who stays out. So we'll have to pay attention to that strategy. Definitely going to get a couple bonus points, or a bonus point for leading a lap for Tom, as the rest of the field is going to come down pit lane here and get service. Looks like the 5 of JD Crow did actually tow back to the pits. No, I take it back. Keith Horner is the only one who did tow back to the pits, so he is still stuck on pit road getting back to his pit stall, though I think we saw the 5 there of JD Crow getting some service already, trying to probably repair quite a bit of damage. Looks like Robert Jordan was the one who slammed into the 5 at the end there. No, sorry, it was Robert Jordan slammed no, yeah, it was JD at the end. Either that or it was Keith Horner, I apologize. But yeah, Robert Jordan, the late breaker there, and he also has quite a bit of damage. So those 3, JD Crow, Robert Jordan, and Keith Horner, all on pit road with extensive damage to repair.
Absolutely, and it looks like JD is going to try to see how much maybe he felt the suspension really wasn't that damaged, but we won't really know what that truck can do until we get in the draft. But, you know, when we look at that wreck, and one thing I was going to bring up, but we had pit stops going on, is it's funny how some of these wrecks start so far ahead of the actual incident. We had saw the 071 there get really squirrely off a push by the 07 there of Robert DuPont. And when he got squirrely, that made them both check up. And then Eric Horner had to check up. And when he had to check up hard enough that to keep from just ramming into the 07, he had to move up a little bit. And when he tried to come back in line, which, you know, early in the race, you kind of do that give and take game, right? You try to make sure that you can work together with everybody to get to that first pit stop. It just looked like whoever it was, and I didn't see the truck, but whoever was behind Keith Horner was just kind of all take and no give. But we talked about that pre-race, that may be what we see tonight is all take and no give, and it looked like that was very evident here early on in this one.
Yeah, that would have been the 9 of Charles Johnson there. So definitely a little bit of give and take, or more take. So more take so far in this race. Definitely early on, though, so looks like a few drivers are going to come back down pit road this time and probably grab a little bit of splash of fuel, I would imagine. Try to go as far as they can on this this fuel strategy. And actually, no, it looks like some of them might actually be taking tires. Right sides you can see popping up on the 1 and the 071 trucks. So interesting to see that they're coming down this time to do that service. But yeah, we'll have Tom Dixon will be again our leader, the only one that did stay out entirely on this pit cycle here under this yellow. Dean Wilkinson will restart to his outside with Robert DuPont and Derek Gilray to his outside. Charles Johnson, the 9 truck, rounding out your top 5. So, like you said, a couple heavy hitters that we're kind of missing so far in the field. So a few maybe newer names, or some that don't always spend a ton of time. Obviously, Dean Wilkinson, one of our playoff drivers, has had some good runs this season. But a couple guys up here with who aren't always at the front. So a good opportunity for them to get some good experience and really show what they can do.
Absolutely. And, you know, with the way this race is shaking out, I think it plays into the favor of Dean Wilkinson. Team Bootnocker is really down, and we've seen in the playoffs that it all comes down to teammates and how they work together. 2 teams that do it very well, TW and Team Bootnocker, talk about it week after week. And we've got Dean Wilkinson up here needing to perform, needing to lead. he can't be laying back and saving fuel. He can't be laying back and just hoping for the best. He's got to get every single position he can possibly get, and he's probably got more teammates with him in the field tonight than any team, almost probably by a double amount. Like if Team Bootknocker has 3, he's probably got 6 of the TW guys in the field. So definitely got strategy on his side. He's got help on his side. Looking for him to really kind of come out and see if he can close that points gap to Gabe here tonight. But as we get ready to restart, only 3 rows are double file because of how many guys stopped with 1 to go. Pace car is going to pull off onto pit road, and these truckers are going to get ready to go at it again. But I promise you this, those guys in the back won't stay single file very long.
Yeah, definitely. If you do elect to come down pit road twice, you'll definitely have to start single file, as you mentioned. So quite a few guys that are single file behind the pack. Just about everyone from David Overstreet in 8th place on back, electing to come down a second time, as we do see that long line of single file cars all the way underway through the green flag. We are running lap number 9. Little bit discombobulated at the front here, but that's kind of to be expected. Hopefully the 411 of Tom Dixon doesn't get freight trained too badly here, but yeah, usually when a leader jumps out a little bit, they're under a little bit of duress from everyone behind him who has a big run coming through turns 1 and 2, and it looks like, yeah, that's Charles Johnson there in the 9 on the outside with the 82 of Dan Harrington, taking the benefit of that draft and running up a couple positions. Now the leader of the outside line in that number 9 truck with Tom Dixon in the 411. I apologize, his number in the league and his number on the truck are different, so it is the 411 as it's shown on the ticker. It's shown as the 031 of Tom Dixon there, but yeah, him running the inside line with Robert DuPont in the 07 just behind him. Couple cars double file here so far, but pretty quiet here on this restart. Obviously a little bit of chaos early on, and I would assume that the field would probably try to back off just a little bit, but maybe not. I know, Maxwell, you've already mentioned that these guys are hungry. Anybody who has a chance is going to be really hungry to try and win a race for sure.
Absolutely, and I think if you're going to try to win your first race in Area 51, there's no better night than tonight. You've already had one incident take out some heavy hitters like the 5, right, of J.D. Crow. We got the 1 of Gabe Butler. You know he's not going to be super aggressive tonight. We do see those Team Bootknocker guys kind of hanging out in the back here in a line. They're playing their fuel-saving game, so they'll probably be there toward the end. But you've got a lot of guys in this field that have not won in Area 51 yet, and tonight is their time. You're missing guys like Sebastian Marin, Vicente Guerrero, right? Gary Klipinski, who was having a phenomenal points race until last week in that incident that unfortunately took him out of the playoffs, it seems, especially after missing tonight. But, you know, you've got a lot of these guys that are ripping, roaring, ready to get their first win, and we're going to see that aggression as Charles Johnson does make that pass on Tom Dixon in the outside lane, going to pull right down, and now we're going to see that outside lane continue to build momentum and be side by side here coming out of 4.
Yeah, definitely. Most of the field now back to double file. As you see, a big move there from the 46 of Derek Gilray to get back to the outside. A couple guys swapping in and out, but the 82 of Dan Harrington leading that lap, leading the charge on the outside line. He's got Derek Walker in the 20 pushing him. We have the 9 of Charles Johnson and the 411 of Tom Dixon lined up on the inside row. Our first, as of right now, actually looks like Dean Wilkinson getting out of the pack. He's going to jump back to the back. The highest running driver in the playoffs right now is actually quite further back than I would have expected. Looks like that is, I believe, yeah, Todd Siebel's there in 12th place. So we got Todd in, well, now 11th, BK Anderson in 14th, JD Crow in 15th, our playoff drivers, as well as Gabe Butler, Eric Laurie, and Dean Wilkinson back-to-back in 19th, 20th, and 21st. So those are our 6 playoff drivers in the race tonight. So we'll have to keep an update on them, but definitely exciting to see some drivers not in the playoffs trying to make a name for themselves or trying to get another win or just showcase their talents here at the front of the field. But definitely exciting to have a little bit of a shakeup and have some new drivers at the field. It looks like the 9 is actually going to drop out of the pack, maybe due to some connection issues, I might assume, just from all the blinking that we've seen out of him. But Derek Walker will resume the lead in that inside lane now dropping in front of Dan Harrington.
And we talk about the skill levels of these pack. I want you to notice something. Look who is making moves without hardly any help there in that outside lane. We see the 5 of J.D. Crow after that early incident. That truck still got speed in it. He was gaining on those bottom 2 packs with not a single truck behind him. He's going to sniff that draft a little bit and peek right back out there to try to see what kind of moves he can make. The side draft's so powerful here. The back of the pack, all single file, not really a bunch 2x2. This is his chance to see what his truck's truly got in it for the end of the race, but also just shows the skill level of some of these drivers that have made it in the playoffs, that they know how to manipulate that draft, manipulate that air to where they can make passes all by themselves. I know I've been able to do it some whenever you get huge runs on some guys, they check up majorly. You feel like Superman out there whenever you run that third lane and make, passes on 2 or 3 sets of cars there and get back in line.
Yeah, we definitely haven't, he's kind of swiping down, thought he was going to come down a pit maybe, but yeah, definitely haven't talked about it recently, but I know we've talked about it a lot throughout the season, that there's definitely a big difference between running that outside line and running that inside line, as we see the J.D. Crow 5 machine trying to jump back out to the outside. Looks like he might have a little bit of help this time with a good run there, getting even with Randy Minor there in the middle lane. But we mentioned that the outside lane, you can really hold it way more wide open than you can on the inside. Usually the drivers in the inside lane have to check up a little bit, especially as they get to the corner, so a lot of big checkups happen into turn number 3 and into turn number 1 as well, or sometimes even into the tri-oval. But that inside lane can't necessarily hold it wide open all the way around the track, whereas the guys in the middle lane can do that a little bit more, and the guys in the outside lane could do it a lot more. So definitely interesting to see. Sometimes if you can get a good run on the outside, you'll probably run a little bit more fuel, running a little bit more on the throttle, more time on the throttle than if you were checking up on the inside lane. But definitely interesting to see. Typically, if you're going to make a move, if you've got the run and you have the power behind you with a couple cars pushing you, that outside lane really makes a huge difference if you can make that work.
And you talk about the different lanes and fuel consumption. One thing to think about is, this is a 2.66 mile racetrack, right? It's got that little bit extra length there for the front stretch there. But you've also got to think, if you got such a big track, if you run all the way around the bottom of the track versus all the way around the top lane is a longer distance. You are maximizing the amount of distance you're driving versus being on that bottom lane. And, you may think, well, the track's still as big around as it is. Yeah, but you're driving a little farther. As we get a bad bump draft up here in the front that's going to really shake up that bottom lane. And now we're going to see some changes here as some guys get past for the lead. Look like maybe the, I don't know what number that was. One of those trucks up here definitely clipped that apron. I believe it was the 82 maybe of Harrington clipping that apron, and it just sent that truck in a tizzy and got guys bumping and just all sorts of jumbled up.
Yeah, it definitely makes a huge difference. Clipping that apron, especially in the corners, there's such a huge difference in the banking. If you get tired just over that yellow line there, you're definitely going to have an issue, and it's not going to make the car super happy. But we do see Jay Hilliard now resuming, or picking up the lead, I should say, on that inside line. Randy Minor, his teammate, is going to try and challenge that, as we have a couple guys trying to run for the outside lane. Might be a 3-wide, 4-wide battle for this lap lead. Wow, the 46.
And that's not going to work. They're moving up.
They're okay for now. The 46 kind of jumps back out of it, but look at the 5 and the 69. All the way to the top, finally makes it work. J.D. Crow jumps down to the inside lane. He is going to kind of hang out David Overstreet on the outside. Unfortunately for the 69, J.D. Crow says goodbye, see you later. I'm going to get my bonus point, my lap led here, or try to at least, and we'll see you later. And the 69 finally tucks back into that middle lane, but wow, what a big move from the top shelf to the bottom. The 5 is going to take over the lead of this race.
Absolutely, and man, I don't know how SDK works, but I wish we could catch at some point a replay of that move that he made. That could be the move of the season, but we saw him working that outside lane. We saw him playing with what he could do and couldn't do, and he knew that eventually these guys would all bobble up in them bottom lanes, and they definitely did. This is probably the most disorganized I've seen the pack. Not only all race, but maybe even all season. But we talked about so many new faces up front. These guys having to learn how to race with each other, right? So these guys feeling each other out and seeing a lot of big checkups in that bottom lane for sure. But as we see the 5 take the lead, it gets taken away. And we see Randy Minor, a guy that normally hangs out in the back most of the race trying to run up front. But here comes Robert DuPont making a move. 3 wide into 3.
That 69 of David Overstreet getting back to the 5 of JD Crow. Hopefully he's going to be able to push him once again and maybe forget a little bit about the time that the 5 dumped him for that inside lane. But yeah, definitely quite a few interesting tales as far as different drivers not used to pushing. Typically, you would see some of the powerhouse teams like TW kind of just get lined up, and they are a little bit on that inside line there, but they just kind of get lined up and just kind of sit there and push, or the Team Bootnacker guys, it helps to have a line of teammates who can just kind of push and go to the front and control that race as far as, leading that line. But like I said, we've got a lot of people up here who don't necessarily or aren't used to necessarily working with each other. So it's exciting to see how they're trying to feel each other out, and you really have to learn how they're going to race, who they're, and if they're going to push you or if they're going to try and abandon you. And yeah, definitely got to find out where your friends are, and it makes a huge difference as far as who you can race with towards the end of this race.
Absolutely. And, all this shaking up we're starting to see in this pack, all these guys not used to being up here, they're trying to get everything they can get, right? This leads me to believe if we don't have another caution, I'm going to make a very, very bold statement here for you, Boomer. I think we not only have a first-time winner this season, but I think we have a first-time winner in any series in Area 51 here tonight. So many different faces running strong and running up front right now. But, as good as that sounds, that could also lead to a big wreck later on with that inexperience, not knowing how to run for the checkers here, right? Not knowing what to do when you're up front, what blocks to make, what lines to be in, or being right on that quarter like the 46 was. He thought better of it, kind of got off that right rear, trying to make sure he didn't hook that 07, but these guys are definitely making moves as we see Tom Dixon coming down pit road. I would say that's a non-scheduled stop there, Boomer.
Definitely a non-scheduled stop. Well, actually, no, he was the only one who didn't pit on that first caution there, so
right,
definitely scheduled for sure. But he will be on a different cycle here than just about everyone else in the field, so may not bode too well for him if he doesn't have a lot of partners to race with, unfortunately, as he gets back going. So we'll resume the lead here with David Overstreet, that unmarked Toyota there. No sponsors tonight, but running strong on that inside line. Robert DuPont to the outside with Derek Gilray pushing him. Charles Johnson pushing the 69 on the inside. We also have the 24 of Jason Adams in the top 5. A couple cars you don't always see here in the front of the pack, but like I said, good to see them running up front and showing what they can do.
Absolutely. And, this is a really random thought, Boomer, but this is how I kind of work in the midst of all this action. Seeing some different paint jobs from some of these drivers tonight, and they are very beautiful, might I add. Like, I'm loving that 24's paint job. That's kind of a new one representing his team there. Typically runs some Jeff Gordon paints on that 24 truck, but is running a paint job for his team that he races for in multiple leagues and kind of representing them tonight. And then you've got that beautiful multicolored Wheaton, I believe it says, paint job there tonight, right behind him. So definitely some different guys running some new paints and just looking beautiful here as these guys are kind of starting to stable out a little bit. They're starting to think here in the next 4 to 5 laps it's going to be time to start hitting pit road. So they're trying to get with their buddies, get with their teammates, and possibly even trying to think about getting to that bottom lane so that they'll be ready to pit when the time comes.
apologies there. Technical difficulties. We did not actually go to caution there, if you saw that on the stream there. So, but yeah, definitely getting close. Just about everyone pitting last on lap 6 or 7. So, been about 18 laps now. Gonna definitely be coming to that window. Maybe, probably, I would assume more next time in the lap after that. But will be interesting to see who is going to duck down pit road. Definitely that 19 to 20 laps is about all you can stretch it as far as fuel goes. So definitely look to see a few guys, probably some teammates, I would assume, try and jump down at the same time to work in the pack together. Some people may even decide, hey, you know what, I see everyone pitting, I'm going to go too because I want to run with them. But it'll be at least one more lap, it looks like, before some of the field's going to come down.
Absolutely. No, the 07 kind of comes down into Charles Johnson there on the inside. That was almost a wreck, but it didn't happen. Nice save from them two, but if he would have moved just an inch lower, that would have been a major crash up in the front of the field.
Definitely would have been a big moment for sure. Most of the guys trying to get single file on that inside line. As we said, we're going to come to pit stops, green flag pit stops here shortly. You see just about the entire field now single file on that inside lane. So maybe the 07 and the 46 are trying to pit maybe on the next lap or the next cycle, or they might try and jumble in. A lot of guys who are able to outbreak some of their competitors get onto pit road quite aggressively, and sometimes you can squeeze in from that outside lane, though it is fairly dangerous to do, and looks like we're going to have to wait at least one more lap again before anyone decides to come down. Looks like, yeah, we'll be on lap 20 since the caution here, so the 07 and the 46 driving way up high, probably looking like they might be slowing down to get towards the back of the pack, but that will concede the lead now to David Overstreet all by himself, leading the entire field ahead of Charles Johnson, J.D. Crow, Randy Miner, and Jay Hillard. J.D. Crow, the only playoff driver here in the top 10, except for Todd Siebels in 9th so far. So, like we mentioned, just a little bit of a shakeup, and there we see the 411 truck, unfortunately, of Tom Dixon did not have any help when he had to come down and pit. So, unfortunately, being the only driver to stay out on that last caution is definitely going to hurt him quite a bit, as we do see quite a bit of drivers now. A bit of a land grab as they get down. Looks like most, if not all, of the TW Motorsports guys pitting this time by. The only one that didn't was Dean Wilkinson in the 55. So just about all of the TW Motorsports guys coming down. We see the 07 of Robert DuPont, the 82 as well, the 08 of Bob Fitzgerald, Jason Adams in the 24. All coming down pit road this time by. So we'll jump back to the crew that are still on the racetrack, still again being led by David Overstreet. They are probably going to be making their pit stops, I would assume, this time by, but we'll have to wait and see. All single file just about, and see if they can get to pit road cleanly as well.
Absolutely, and I saw a lot of guys actually taking left side tires on that stop. Kind of interested to see. Typically, green flag, used to just seeing fuel only here. And we got contact with Dean Wilkinson in the 46 coming in the pits. That could be bonus points lost for that 55. A lot of these playoff guys having some troubles here tonight with different incidences. But here's the main group of Team Boot Knocker, all 2 or 3 of them here. So coming down pit road.
Yeah, definitely see that. Contact there with the 55 and the 46. Just light contact should be okay, but definitely interesting to see.
The only thing I'm thinking is I'm wondering if he's going to lose his bonus points if that gave him any sort of X's there. So definitely have to watch for that. But
yeah, it'll be interesting to see for sure. Does look like we do have the 32 of BK Anderson. I don't know why. I apologize. It's jump back live.
I think you're still in slow-mo.
There we go. It was live, but it was in slow-mo for whatever reason. So we do see BK Anderson now coming down pits with Bud Steele. Looks like he's the only guy he's going to be with. So definitely interesting that he did come down a couple laps later than just about, or one or two laps later than just about everyone else. He will have some help with Bud Steele here. Thankfully, he's not by himself. Obviously, we saw Tom Dixon kind of get shuffled out, and looks like he is actually one lap down now with the pack. So speaking of that, we'll jump back to that pack. Looks like it is the tale of the TW Motorsports guys, Jay Hillard, Todd Siebels, Richard Sanchez, and Randy Miner, are going to resume the race lead, I would assume here, as we see them kind of running side by side now, actually, instead of cutting in just being single file. But BK Anderson and Bud Steele are probably going to be passed here on pit exit, and will probably have to rejoin at the back of this lead pack.
And that's the danger of staying out so much later than these other guys. You're not on track with a big group of cars, so your speed on track is slower. When you're like the first group and you pit with 10 or 15 guys and come out with 10 or 15 guys, you're not really losing that speed. You're able to build it up a lot quicker. And you just see how much different it is for these guys. Where they were running in the pack, now they're going to have to be all the way at the back of it here and work all the way through this gaggle of trucks. But it looks like up front now we are back to 2x2 racing, and definitely I'm going to call this kind of a weird race just because it's not following the status quo of what we've seen. We're getting some green flag runs in now, but look how scattered this pack is, and some of the just random momentum shifts we have of guys in the back getting these massive runs and taking them, and then they'll probably fall off and kind of start falling to the back. But we are seeing some 3-wide action going on here with the 55, the 24, and the 89, it looks like. But look at all the TW trucks running up front. Just a whole different atmosphere. They're controlling the top 6 right now, Boomer.
Yeah, there's a lot of those guys in the top 10 right now, which bodes well for Dean Wilkinson, that 55 all the way in that outside lane. The TW Motorsports guy that is in the playoffs, as well as Todd Siebels, who's currently leading the race. So you do see a lot of the guys now in this pack 3 wide, but a single file tray behind them in the still in this lead pack. The only ones who really aren't attached to this lead pack are Derek Gilray, Bob Fitzgerald, and Tom Dixon. So they're about 14 to 27 seconds back off of the pack. They're still on the lead lap, but definitely going to be hoping for a caution at some point to be able to make their way back to this lead pack. Definitely losing the draft is not ideal for sure. So hopefully they will either catch a lucky break at some point to get back in this pack, or they're going to probably find themselves one lap down and will hopefully eventually attach to the back of this pack if that's the case.
Absolutely. When you're talking about green flag pit stops, it's one thing you've really got to watch is how you enter, how you pit, and how you exit. It's so much more critical than if you're under caution, right? Because if you mess up under caution, you can easily catch back up to these guys. But, you lose 1 to 2 seconds on pit road, that could be 4 to 5 seconds on track. So major, major deal. This pack is kind of 2x2 now. Everybody's kind of gotten back out and running. We see the 37 trying to make a move. He's just trying to leapfrog a guy, it looks like, to run that third lane. I expect him to drop back in behind some of these trucks, but no, he's actually making some momentum here up on the outside by himself. He's going to get a couple guys to go with him. We just see a lot of movement in this pack right now, a lot of disorganization, and I'm not saying it's bad. I mean, they look to be in control, but it's just, we've talked about it all night, just new faces at the front of this field is causing for a completely different race than we have seen all night long. So, and all season long. It's just kind of some different racing up front, but definitely excited and proud to see these TW guys out here running up front, really controlling this race. And I'm glad to see that they're letting that 45 go and lead some laps. They know he's second in points right now. They know he's got the opportunity to get a second bonus point for not only leading a lap, but leading the most laps. And if he could win tonight and something unfortunate happened to Gabe, which no one wants to see anybody have any issues, but if something were to happen to Gabe, or he gets stuck here and maybe loses the draft himself with how spread out they are, this could be the perfect night for Todd Siebels to really close that gap going into our final race next week.
Yeah, it definitely makes a big difference if you have a lot of friends like that to be able to run with. The first non-TW Motorsports driver in the field right now is Dan Harrington in the 6th spot, third on the outside lane. So definitely not a lot of drivers other than them really at the front here. So TW's kind of being able to control that narrative, and like you said, Todd Siebels just clicking off lap lead after lap lead. Definitely has quite a bit of a, no, I take it back, actually. Todd was one of the fortunate ones from last week who had a pretty solid finish and is the one second in points, just 22 points behind Gabe Butler, but he's going to really push as hard as he can to try and get every bonus point possible just so he can maintain that second position and go and try and beat Gabe Butler for this championship. Definitely only 2 races left. I would assume the next race is just going to be Daytona International Speedway, as that was supposed to be tonight, but we're actually at Talladega Super Speedway tonight. So definitely going to try and get as many points as he can tonight to try and go into our final race of the season and maybe try and contend for that championship. Definitely a lot of bonus points here up for grabs, and Todd Siebels is earning as many as he can right now.
Absolutely. And, there's one thing now that I'm watching this front pack a little bit closer that I'm kind of confused about. Seeing the 9 and the 28 really running that 45 pretty hard on the back straightaway going into 3. Almost didn't think they were going to let him lead that lap. And, these are all guys that are not in the playoffs. They're just out here kind of running their own race. When it comes to the end, yes, you absolutely go as hard as you can and you try to get the win. But when we're mid-race like this, why not just make sure you're lifting that little bit, making sure that 45 is leading each lap? And maybe that's what they're doing, and they're just getting their runs on the back stretch, because by the time they get to the front stretch, the 45 kind of has clear sailing each lap. But if I were TW Motorsports, that's what I would be having these 4 drivers behind him do, or the 5 drivers behind him, is just work with him. If the 55 gets up there and leads that second lane, then make it a race between them two. They're both in the playoffs. They both need the points. But right now with the 55 just kind of hanging out, and it looks like he might have even went back to the back of the pack yet again. Work with this 45. Let him get the most laps led, and give your team a chance to win a championship against Team Bootknocker. So interested to see how the rest of this plays out. If that 9 will end up trying to make a move, you just see such hard side draft from these 2 drivers, the 9 and the 28 right now. It just makes me wonder what their end game goal is here, because they're not really going to benefit from leading the most laps tonight if they're not in the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely interesting for sure. So, like you said, the tail of the tape right now is that the TW Motorsports guys are in the front and really controlling this pack. Currently led that lap by Todd Siebels again in the number 45 truck. So, Todd is one of our playoff drivers. We mentioned second in points currently, and you have to look pretty far back to, it looks like BK Anderson actually in 12th position as our next playoff driver, with Dean Wilkinson in the 14th position. Eric Laurie in 15th, Gabe Butler in 16th, and JD Crow in 17th. So pretty much the rest of our playoff drivers all lined up nose to tail towards the middle of this pack here. Or towards the single file tail of the pack, I should say. But Todd Siebels there, like we said, mentioning him getting a lot of potential for bonus points for leading the most laps. And looks like we're going to see Tom Dixon here finally on the outside, going to be collected up by this lead pack. Good news is that he should be able to stick with them, get in behind them here. But he is going to be 1 lap down now. The only lap car that we have, no, that is incorrect. Excuse me. But one of the only lap cars that is actually in this lead pack. So hopefully he's actually about 20 seconds ahead of Robert Jordan, who's probably about 20 seconds behind this lead pack here. So definitely going to be fighting for him to be the lucky dog if he gets lucky enough to have another caution. But a little bit of chaos early on, a little bit of drivers not necessarily working with each other up front, and kind of a land grab for just about anything. And now we've seen towards this middle section of the race, really the TW guys just kind of setting the pace, setting the tone. And we do see a couple guys on this outside here. The 37 of Keith Horner now 2 laps down, trying to make something work, trying to get a lap or 2 back from the pack as he works with the 89 of Joshua Gathright, who is in the lead pack. So interesting to see how they can do on that outside lane, just the 2 of them trying to push by these TW Motorsports guys who are pretty much lined up nose to tail throughout the inside and middle lanes right now.
Absolutely. And, I was going to say as this race has calmed down, but as soon as I wanted to say that, they kind of went 3 wide for a little bit. But as this race is kind of reaching this midpoint a little bit past here, right, I'm thinking about pit stops. I'm thinking about what's getting ready to come whenever these guys come and make their next pit stop. I think this run, you have to run it absolutely till that tank is dry. And here's why. If you count the laps up, and if we're saying that these drivers are making 20 laps on fuel each run, if they're able to do that, then they may have the strategy here to try to make, once they make this pit stop, they're still going to have to make one more. And when they come for that last pit stop, if they do it correctly, they're going to be splitting the run right in half. They're going to have about 10 laps to go when they have to make that last pit stop. And if that's the case, that's the difference in putting one can of fuel in or having to take time to put that second can of fuel in, which could be a second and a half on pit road. And we've already talked about how big a difference that makes on track. So that may be weighing in some of these drivers' minds, and while they're running so single file this run, maybe just trying to milk those tanks for all they're worth and trying to make it absolutely as far as they can go, so that last stop they're only putting one can of fuel in instead of two.
And definitely makes a bit of a difference as far as how much fuel is in the truck. You can go early, if you needed to go. If your last stint was around 25 laps or so, and you only can go about 20 on fuel, you could pit within 5 laps and get that fuel, but you'll have a full tank in the truck when you fill up. Whereas kind of what Max was alluding to, if you run that tank as far dry as you possibly can, when you fill up, you only have to put a little bit in, so the tank stays more empty more of the time. And on a smaller track, that can definitely play a factor as far as the handling of the vehicle, where light is typically tight, and the more fuel you have, the car is looser. But here, it doesn't really matter at a super speedway, and when the car is lighter, you actually get a little bit of a performance gain, and do get to go a little bit faster. So when these guys are calculating that stuff out, it does make a huge difference. It may not seem like it does, but a 10th here or a 10th there, or just to having that ability to have less fuel in the vehicle towards the end of the race does gain you a little bit of an advantage. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but iRacing really is fairly realistic as far as a computer racing simulation goes, or a video game, as you will. So it's definitely unique to see that level of strategy can actually make a difference in some of the drivers here who are really high performing in this league.
And Boomer, I'm going to throw a kink in your theory here. Are you ready for this? I was told this by one of my fellow teammates and ran with him for over 10 years now, Larry Yingling. And he's taught me some things about this super speedway style racing. He doesn't do it a lot, but he races with a lot of really good guys that do this. And I know iRacing may still do this. I'm not sure with all the different updates, but I know at one time it was almost better to get your truck full of fuel, because as fuel burns, the back of that truck starts to rise with less weight. When that back end starts to rise, you're putting more and more air onto that spoiler, therefore causing more drag to occur. If you can keep weight in the back of that truck, you have a little less drag, which gives you a little more straightaway speed. So even though you've got a little more weight, you have less drag when you have more fuel in the truck. So like you said, iRacing is a simulation, and that's exactly what it is. They try to add every factor they can in, and definitely have it here at the super speedways. These guys have these pit stops and these fuel numbers down to an absolute science on what tenths, hundredths, and thousandths of a second certain things you do on your stop will make when you go back on track.
Yeah, it definitely, it seems crazy, but it definitely makes a huge difference. So, I mean, just goes to show the realism that really gets put into this this series, or this style of racing on iRacing. Yep, they're going to come down this time by being led by Todd Siebels. A bit of a land grab, 3 wide, 4 wide there as we get into the pits. Looks like Todd Siebels is going to be the first one to his pit stall here. Going to see what we got. We have at least probably one more stop to go for these guys. About 30 laps left to go in the race, so they will have to stop. Oh, the 24 overshoots his pit stop, has to jump back. unfortunate for him, but it looks like this whole group should be able, of TW Motorsports guys, should be able to get back out onto the track together. And we'll actually pick up now our leaders, who actually include BK Anderson, Dean Wilkinson, Eric Laurie, Gabe Butler, and JD Crow, the rest of our playoff drivers for the evening who are racing tonight. So definitely maybe try and get a bonus point here from BK there on that last lap, as he's going to come down on pit road this time by. And no, the Team Bootknocker guys are going to say, we're going to go one more lap. Ooh, the 37, a little bit of lockup, but looks like everyone's going to get slowed up there. But interesting to note, we see Dean Wilkinson here has kind of had an opposite strategy of all the rest of the TW Motorsports guys tonight so far. So was not expecting to see that, him coming down one lap after the rest of his teammates have been. So maybe a little of a mixed bag for Todd Siebel's his TW Motorsport and playoff teammate and contender as well. So interesting to see them on a split strategy here.
The answer: fuel, fuel, fuel. Because looking at the laps these guys pitted, if they pitted on lap 45, that tells me that front group could only run around 18 laps. If they can only run 18 laps, they're going to have to put the second can of fuel in. Even there with Dean Wilkinson and them, as we see Team Bootknocker stay out yet another lap. I'm telling you, here's the strategy. They took that run and they saved fuel at the back of that pack. They let the pack pull them. I guarantee you they were no more than half throttle the entire back stretch. And even maybe the front stretch, they were only be half throttle, maybe three-quarter throttle max at any point in that whole run. And that's given them this little bit of insurance here on lap 47. If these guys pit when they make their next stop, these four drivers you see here will only have to put one can of fuel in, where the rest of them are going to have that second can have to get plugged in, which is going to cost them about 1.5 to 2 seconds on pit road.
Yeah, definitely interesting for sure. And this is something that we actually saw in the very first race of the season. We had three guys stay out late in the race. Gary Slapinski, looks like Gabe Butler really diving deep there to get on a pit road, get them all slowed down. But yeah, so the 78 of Gary Slapinski, Kyle Heath, and Keith Horner all stayed out very late, filled up at the last possible moment, and they actually, as three cars, were able to break away from the main pack and pretty much win the race 1-2-3 with a 5-second lead over the rest of the field. So big hiccup there for the 071, as he is going to slide through his pit stall, unfortunately. But it'll be interesting to see where these guys come out as far as the rest of the field goes. You see the one truck now up and away. We'll pop back to Richard Sanchez, see where they are coming through the tri-oval at this time, and it does look like they are going to maintain the lead, as they are probably going to pass the 1, the 5, and the 69 as they come off of pit road here, as you see now.
Now I'm worried that these guys may not blend back into the pack quite like they need to. They may not have that draft that they need. But we do see some different checking up and some different moving here that could keep these guys in the hunt, where they can keep that draft sniffed, because the worst thing they could do is have to lose this draft and then have to race harder and burn more fuel. Because I'm telling you, the Team Bootknocker guys, they are still going to be saving every last drop of fuel that they possibly can this run, because it's less fuel they put in on that last stop. They want to ensure that they only put one can in. So I was wondering all night long if we were going to have a strategy. I didn't know exactly what it was going to look like if it went green, and here it is. It's the difference in 1 can of fuel to 2 cans of fuel. And I'm telling you right now, you want to see separation in the pack, watch these guys have to plug a second can of fuel in up front and spend that extra 2 seconds on pit road, and Team Bootknocker be 4 or 5 seconds ahead of them when they come out of pit road.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see as we get down to the 50-lap mark here just about in a moment, as we'll come back down to the front stretch with 25 laps to go. It'll be interesting to see if that is a factor where the TW guys do have to take an extra can of fuel, that second can of fuel. So all of these guys here in the top 8 now, most of the TW Motorsports guys pitting last on lap 44, whereas we notice the Bootknocker Esports guys pitting on lap 47, so it's Gabe Butler, JD Crow, Eric Laurie, and throw David Overstreet in there as well. So those guys have 3 laps of fuel extra in their tanks right now, and it doesn't seem like much. It really doesn't, but it can make a huge difference. It gives them the opportunity, like you mentioned, to put less fuel in the trucks at the last stop of the race, and does look like they are able to catch up here to the back of the pack and stay with this main drag. So does look like, actually I take it back, Eric Laurie is now 12 seconds back off of the pack. So I don't think he was able to stay with his teammates, and he unfortunately, with sliding through his pit stall there, is going to drop off of this front pack and is going to have a tough time probably getting back to the front or even staying on the lead lap. So unfortunate for him. That's going to be a big mistake. I think that'll cost him a lot of points tonight.
Absolutely, and we've seen it. Every pit stop tonight, we have seen somebody overshoot that pit stall. And I'm telling you, under green flag conditions, that is a major penalty. It only feels like a second or two on pit road. But when you get back on track, it's the difference in being with the pack and being completely separated from the pack. And notice that each run, our pack gets smaller and smaller and smaller. This is not a very big lead pack if you think about it, Boomer. So definitely it's going to be harder for those guys in the back to save fuel. But these guys up front, I can't blame Todd Siebels a bit for what he's doing. And TW's hope is that we get a caution here in a little bit where everybody ends up coming down pit road and we reset those fuel numbers to where everybody's on an equal playing field. I think that's the strategy of TW. They're playing on the fact that there might be a caution before this is all said and done. But if we make the green flag pit stops before we get a caution, TW is going to be in a tight spot, I'm afraid. So we do see kind of the tale of two packs. We see this front pack going 3x3 here, racing really hard. And the TW guys just trying to keep in control of this race. And then we see the other guys at the back. They are just riding, saving fuel, making sure that they only have to put one can in. And that's where Dean Wilkinson's running a different strategy than his teammate Todd Siebels. He's trying to save fuel. Todd Siebels is trying to say bonus point, bonus point, bonus point.
Yeah, Todd definitely getting close, I would assume, to encroaching that most lap-led marker, as he's been kind of in charge of the field here for most of this middle half of the race as we start to get into the final third. Exciting to see Derek Walker on the outside trying to challenge and change it up, trying to get around some of these TW Motorsports drivers, but the 510 is going to jump out to the outside and say, no way, we're going to keep this lead for that 45 and keep on trucking with Jay Hillard pushing him on that inside and Randy Miner there behind him, third in line on that inside row. So like you mentioned, it's definitely going to be interesting to see. We do have the Team Bootnock, the esports guys, lined up nose to tail with Gabe Butler and JD Crow in the back half of this pack. We'll throw BK Anderson and Dean Wilkinson back there as well. Those guys are pretty much 1, 2, 3, 4. There's one truck in the middle of them, but most of those playoff drivers just kind of staying off of that main pack here. One thing we've mentioned before, it is when you do have such a big, or a wide pack with this 3-wide action in the front, it really cuts a huge hole in the air, so that if you are a second or so back off of the pack, it is a little bit easier to get back up to it with the draft. So we do see about a 0.8 of a second gap there as you see back to Dean Wilkinson, the first car in that single file pack just off the draft. So wouldn't be too worried about them losing this draft here, as we say that big hole really makes a huge difference in front of them to kind of help suck up to it, as we do see Dean Wilkinson now making some headway back up to about 6 seconds. So they're going to actually meet this back of the pack with a big run here.
Absolutely, yeah, they're running just fine. They're running good speeds here. This front pack is all sorts of discombobulated. I'm going to use a big word there. They are just all over the place. They are making all kinds of moves. They're squirrely. They're moving around. They're racing really, really hard. Ooh, as the 89 kind of gets close to that outside lane, ducks it back down, keeps a wreck from happening. But definitely got a tale of two races going on. And, one thing I'm going to point out, Team Bootknocker, I know I've talked about it a lot. They've been dominant most of the season. They're kind of down to just two guys in this race. They've got the 1 and the 5 pretty well in this lead pack, able to still go. Eric Laurie has had some unfortunate circumstances happen. We've seen some other guys fall off. TW is all still in this as far as I'm concerned, as far as I can see. I mean, I see at least 6 TW guys in this lead pack. So there's going to be power in numbers when it comes to the end of this race. So even though, Gabe Butler is saving all that fuel. It wouldn't shock me a bit for the 45 to still be able to take that extra time, run them down in a bigger pack, and still be able to make the pass and the move for the win. But if I'm Todd Siebels, I want that one of Gabe Butler to fall back another 5-6 positions, and then I want the race to end right now while I'm leading. I want to take that 22-point lead and make it like a 2-point lead, right? I want to get all these bonus points. I want to do all these things. I want to get that race win, and I want to make sure Gabe Butler does not get any more points tonight than he has to where it's going to be a tight race. And you know, if it shakes out like it's looking right now, this points lead could be definitely cut in half. And talking to Gabe Butler before the race, he was worried about that. I asked him, I said, hey, you have a great points lead right now. Are you looking at the championship? And he said, man, I've seen a points lead this big with 2 races to go, and a driver easily lose it all. So that could be on Gabe's mind as he's running in the back trying to stay safe. He could easily get in an incident once he races his way up here. So,
yeah, I think as far as strategy goes, they're going to try and see what they can do to leapfrog this pack, so they don't even have to worry about that. But definitely going to be a lot to come up through the pack here with these TW guys leading the charge so far. Really, the only one kind of throwing a wrench in their plans is that 89 truck of Joshua Gathray, that beautiful rainbow color, almost not necessarily Jeff Gordon-esque, I wouldn't say, but a beautiful paint scheme with a lot of color here. As we do see a couple guys taken to pit road, looks like Bud Steele and BK Anderson kind of running as teammates tonight. They're going to pick up the 37 of Keith Horner, so it's going to be a small pack, but they are in the window to be able to go the rest of the way here. See them coming down pit road. Hopefully they'll get into their stalls and out of their stalls pretty quickly. Though it looks like the 37 is going to miss his stall. Probably going to have to... No, he does find his stall. Okay, yeah, just kind of wasn't expecting his pit stall to be as late as it is. So the 32 and the 6 on their way. Thankfully, will be able to draft with each other as they get back out. But we'll jump back to this front pack. And that 89 of Joshua Gathray is able to lead that charge on the outside lane. Last pitting here for most of the leaders at lap 44 or lap 45. So would expect these guys to probably start coming within a lap or two, so we'll kind of see. Not going to come down this time by, but actually interesting, we actually see the TW Motorsports guys are going to come down this time by. So Gabe Butler, JD Crow, and David Overstreet are in this time with 17 laps to go, so they're going to try and undercut the TW Motorsports guys versus trying to stay out later. That's interesting to see. So hopefully they get into their pit stalls nice and clean. Ooh, a little bit of a lockup for the one. Nope, he's good, and he will get his service now and get the rest of that fuel and get back out to the pack, which we see now coming down the backstretch, still again being led by that 89 truck of Joshua Gathray. Actually, no, excuse me, David Bingle actually leading right now on the inside line.
They must have just had their fuel number where they liked it here. Coming to lap 60 on this lap. They were coming to lap 59. That would have been 59 to 69. That would have been 16 laps. They must have been right there in their window to make it, and that saved them 4 laps from having to put in a full tank. But here comes the rest of the field. Theoretically, I think these guys are only going to have to put in 1 can too. Maybe I had some of my thought process here kind of mixed up, but we'll see how this fuel game goes as they try to make it another 16 laps here. So we've got this small little pack that stayed out. They're going to try something different, maybe hope for a yellow, something like that. And we'll just kind of see how this goes from here, but definitely different strategies than what we thought we were going to see there, Boomer. It's going to be interesting to see how this all shakes out, and if I'm looking for the Team Bootknocker guys to see if they have enough fuel to actually push hard and try to race their way up, or if they're trying a strategy where they've got to be conservative the rest of the time.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, but we will see Derek Walker, Joshua Gathright, and Dan Harrington all down onto pit lane here. So, as broadcasters, we do always love to see the different types of strategy going on. So, not a ton of difference as far as, 1 or 2 or 3 laps difference, but exciting to see now our leaders here coming down pit road and going to take the chance to try something different. And, always applaud that. Sometimes if you can't win it on strategy, you might as well win it, if you can't win it on speed, you might as well win it on strategy. But we're actually going to jump back to the lead pack, and you hear that right. The lead pack is Gabe Butler, JD Crow, and BK Anderson. from just undercutting by, I think, 2 laps, they were able to jump back up in front of the TW Motorsports guys. So now the control of the race is with Gabe Butler and JD Crow, as you see them passing the 89 and the rest of those guys who just came down that last lap. This is your race lead right here, and it absolutely amazes us every time that we see it, but the one truck of Gabe Butler and JD Crow and all of his teammates always able to find a way to be able to leapfrog that lead pack on that final pit stop. We saw it happen last week, but not if TW Motorsports can help it. They're going to be lined up 4 cars on that outside line and a bunch more behind them, trying to take back over this lead after Team Bootknocker was able to undercut them on that last final pit stop.
But here's what I said was going to happen. Even though Bootknocker could do that, they're outnumbered tonight. They have BK trying to work with them. Oh, there's a wreck! And there goes BK in the wall!
Oh, my gosh. Wow. That's going to shake it up a little bit, but I think, man, give some security to everyone in the field for the rest of it. I hate that for the 32 of BK Anderson. That was... Man, that was
crazy. That was just a push going wrong at a terrible time. I was just about to say those TW guys had it all planned out. They were going to outnumber them, rock it around on the outside, and put Gabe probably back in like 6th or 8th. But let's see the replay here.
Yeah, we're going to try and rewind here just a little bit.
Was that the 45 that he knocked down into him?
Yeah, so we'll come back to the start-finish line, but you kind of see here, so we got the 101, the 510, and the 45 on the outside lane. The 101 getting a push from the 510, and kind of almost seems like they check up here. The 510 kind of jumping down. Looks like he's probably going to actually get out of the gas so he doesn't hook the 101. And the 45, the 45 getting checked up into the back of the 101, and the 59 just really never checks up. Jay Hillard running over his teammate almost, who is one of our playoff drivers. And
second in points.
Yeah, second in point. I really hate that for BK, because that was nothing of his own doing, and he's had a couple of run-ins like that where just wrong place, wrong time, did nothing wrong, and was unfortunately paying the price for it. But hopefully he should be able to take his fast repair here and get back out onto the track. It does bode well for these 4 guys that you see here at the front of the pack: Gabe Butler, Randy Miner, JD Crow, and Richard Sanchez. They are going to resume at the front of this pack, and they'll actually be lined up with their teammates behind them once we take the green again. But we do see a couple guys coming down pit road. Obviously, BK looks like he is actually, unfortunately, going to have to take some of those repairs. Not able to take a fast repair. I can't remember. I apologize for not remembering, but he might have already taken his fast repair.
On his truck too.
Yeah, Dean Wilkinson coming down. Derek Walker. Looks like Dean Wilkinson just had 8.67 seconds of pit stop time, so he should be okay there coming down. But he'll definitely be towards the back of the pack. And wow, unfortunate. BK. BK is currently still taking his repairs, so he will be at least 1 lap down. Oh, I see. He did take the tow back to the pits, so he's waiting for that. So, man, that's a heartbreaker for him. And other than the guys, Gary Slapinski and Vicente Guerrero, who aren't here tonight, I'm probably going to put BK towards the back of the playoff pack for sure. So unfortunate, but we do still have quite a few of our playoff drivers left in this race. Gabe Butler, again, resuming that race lead that you saw after that last pit cycle. JD Crow in the 5, currently going to be behind him on the inside row in the 3rd position. We do also have Todd Siebels involved in that last wreck. He was able to take a fast repair back out, sitting in 10th position. Eric Laurie was able to hang on to the lead lap there after he overshot his pit stall on the second to last pit cycle. So thankfully for him, he's going to catch up to the lead pack. Dean Wilkinson also looks like he's getting some repairs done, but as of right now, he still is on the lead lap. Hopefully he can make those repairs and get back out onto the track. But other than them, we still have BK Anderson getting back to his pit stall, taking the tow there in iRacing to unfortunately get back, and he's going to be he should be able to take a fast repair, I would assume, but he's going to be at least 1 lap down by the time this race goes green.
Absolutely. And, as we reset, it's going to be the battle between TW and Team Bootknocker, and we'll have to stay tuned here and see who can come out on top tonight with such a small field, and especially after a couple wrecks. It's going to be interesting to see how this all shakes out, Boomer.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely interesting. It does help that some of the Bootnaka guys are on the inside lane with, lined out teammates back to back, the one of Gabe Butler and JD Crow, but they are going to have Randy Miner and Richard Sanchez to their outside lined up. The 59 of Jay Hillard, another TW Motorsports guy, will be lined up on the inside lane. And Dave Bingle behind them on the outside of the third lane. So quite a bit of TW guys kind of surrounding the 1 and the 5, but they're going to try and see what they can do to stay hooked up on that inside line and just stay calm, cool, and collected there and push themselves hopefully to a win. Or if TW has something to say about it, hopefully they will be able to make their way towards the front of the pack and continue to control this race as they have for most of the season. So we do see the 45 there in the back of the shot here. Todd Siebel's the TW Motorsports guy who is actually in the playoffs. Their other teammate of Dean Wilkinson is going to start back in the 15th spot, so those will be all the guys on the lead lap for as far as playoff drivers go, as well as Eric Laurie and in the 32 of BK Anderson. Looks like he is back out on track now, but he is probably going to be shown about, I think, two or three laps down based on the SDK timing right now.
Absolutely. So as we get ready to reset here, we see Team Bootknocker has made their way up front. I personally say that caution was their life jacket, their saving grace there, if you will. But they are surrounded by TW Motorsports guys. And honestly, if TW's smart, here's what they do. They get in that outside lane, they ditch the bottom, make the bottom lane lose momentum, and they team up together, get themselves up to the front. And especially now that 45 has the bonus point for 0x taken away from him, those 3 bonus points that he desperately needed, it's time for him to get up front and try to win this race. I know everybody wants to win, and we may have a first-time winner. I called it earlier that we'd have a first-time ever winner in Area 51. That 101 could easily do it tonight. Right there behind him with Sanchez could easily do it tonight, right? We've got a lot of guys still up here searching for that first win. So I expect TW to work together, but at the same time, they may go all take and no give here. So pace car is pulling down onto pit road as we get ready to restart, coming to 10 laps to go in this third race of the playoffs. Boomer, take it away. It's going to be exciting.
Definitely going to be exciting for sure, as we are going to be 10 laps to go. By the time we cross the stripe here, the one truck has the advantage on the restart, and he is going to get going. Looks like the 101 is going to get going with him, so some of the TW guys line up behind them. The 5 of JD Crow is going to get to the bumper of the 1 and start pushing them, so hopefully that gives the benefit to the Team Bootnaka Esports guys as they can try and control this field, but definitely going to be, like we said, just about all season long, the tale of the TW guys versus the Team Bootnaka guys. The two teams that really have been able to take advantage of working together. We saw earlier in this race where it was starting to move on the outside lane. We saw a lot of guys trying to make a land grab for just about any spot and not really any allegiance to any other driver, but it definitely helps to have those teammates there and makes a huge difference, as we are going to see now the 28 of Dave Bingle is going to try and bring Todd Siebels all the way back to that race lead all the way on the outside lane. They're going to bring the 89 and the 37 with them, see if they can make some headway on that outside lane as the middle lane, shaking up the 59 of Jay Hillard's going to jump up to the outside and just about cut off his teammate. Looks like the 28 actually getting into the wall just a little bit with the 59 jumping to the outside there. That's going to definitely cause some issues and slow down that outside lane there.
Yeah, they didn't need to jump to that third lane yet. When I called that there was a move getting made, it was that TW guy ditching that inside lane, moving up there with the teammates. They almost had all 5 of them in a row, and that was going to be the power they needed to get by the 1, but they got greedy there in the back trying to get the 45 to the front, and now instead of going to the front, the 45 is at the tail end now of this pack.
Yeah,
so not the move they wanted to make there.
No, not at all. That makes a huge difference, and definitely bodes well for the 1 and the 5 truck, just trying to command that lead from the inside lane. little bit of a bobble from the 101, and the 510 might stack up this inside line just a little bit. As you see, looks like the 20 there of Derek Walker is going to try and make his way to the outside with the 82 of Dan Harrington there. So TW no longer has that advantage at the front of this pack. It's definitely being controlled by the 1 of Gabe Butler and the 5 of JD Crow, which is definitely something that those two like to see for sure. Definitely exciting to see the 20 and the 82 there, hanging it high, wide, and handsome on the outside lane, trying to make something work, but a little bit of a head of steam for Randy Miner and Richard Sanchez as they are able to use that side draft down the backstretch and at least get even with the 1 and the 5. So it'll be interesting to see. So the 101 and the 510 not in the playoffs. The only guys in the picture of the screen right now that are in the playoffs are the 1 and the 5 on the inside lane. And again, Gabe Butler is our championship leader. JD Crow is somewhere in the mix of the rest of the guys from second on back that are all separated by, I think, like 11 points total. So definitely going to be huge for Gabe if he can hang on to here with 7 laps to go. Some of the TW guys starting to mount an effort to get back to the front of the pack. Todd Siebel's leading that behind the 20 and the 82 for the TW guys on the outside road, trying to make that third lane work and trying to get back to control of this race.
Absolutely. And, you know, we could say Team Bootknocker is in position to win this, but we got lots of new faces up front. We are 3 deep for at least 5 rows, 4 rows. I'm telling you right now, it's nothing for one of these outside rows to come down and just hook Gabe Butler up into the wall. Not wanting that to happen, obviously, but just for clarity, this race is not over, folks. These guys are going hard, and I think the outside lanes are really where you want to be. We've seen all the passes all night long happen on the outside. The inside has kind of bogged down and had to check up, but you do have 2 of the faster guys in the field kind of leading that bottom lane now, so it may end up being a little bit different. Guys that typically run up front know how to run that lane are up there, but I'm telling you, these outside lanes have a lot of momentum these last few laps, but they are getting awfully close to each other as we see the side drafts get tighter and tighter.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a parking lot as you see the speed of Gabe Butler entering turns 1 and 2, 3 and 4 actually, I believe it. Yeah, going to turn number 4. It's basically a parking lot 3 wide at 186 currently miles an hour. So definitely a lot of focus to stay in your lane and keep pushing the guy in front of you without making any contact. So you kind of see them snaking back and forth, up and down, moving side to side just a little bit of blink there out of the 9 truck. But lots of excitement going on. 3 wide, still really in control is Gabe Butler in the 1 with his teammate of JD Crow pushing him. We do see Eric Laurie back there 3 or 4 cars back, 5th car, back in the inside line. So one of the other Team Bootknocker Esports guys there kind of all in the same area. TW kind of taking up the middle lane, currently led by Randy Miner with Richard Sanchez pushing him in that outside lane. The 45 of Todd Siebel is one of our playoff contenders, currently in second in the points, trying to get that outside lane to work with some of his teammates, but he does still have the 20 of Derek Walker and the 82 of Dan Harrington in front of them as well. So it'll be interesting to see. Gabe Butler will lead this lap. This time by takes us to 4 laps to go. It'll be exciting to see as we get to the end of this race.
Absolutely. You know, these outside lanes, if they could just get a little more organized, really mount these runs, the bottom lane should have some checkup that happens just because of how tight they get running. But you do have that 5 on the back of the 1, and we've seen these guys finish first and second how many times in this league on Thursday nights. These guys know each other well. They know exactly how to push. They know what to do right. They know what's going to cause a wreck. But I'm really, really impressed with this 101 hanging tight with Gabe Butler, a driver we see at the back most races kind of trying to play it safe or getting caught up in other people's wrecks and ordeals, now up here contending with one of the series best for the lead and actually going to lead this lap. And, you know, that's all it's going to take to win this race. Maybe practicing their strategy on how to get it. They've got the 07 there of Robert DuPont behind them. They've got some strong trucks in that middle lane. Excited to see if that's going to be enough to give the big push they're going to need right here at the end.
Definitely exciting for sure as we see this lead pack starting to get a little bit aggressive here. Randy Minor getting a big push from the 510, getting a little bit wiggle there at the end of the back straightaway. You see the 20 and the 82 also pushing really hard, so it'll be interesting to see how these guys are able to stay in line. The 46 there getting a little bit of a wobble himself, so definitely the most action that we've seen so far tonight. Going to be interesting to see how these guys can make that work and try to make sure that they stay straight and pointed and keep it going here as we get down to 2 laps to go. It looks like Derek Walker actually leading that lap by on the stripe, so definitely a bonus point for him if he hasn't led a lap just yet. But I am absolutely amazed as much as we have been 3 wide action here. I mean, they are 3 wide, at least 6 rows, 7 rows deep. This is a lot of cars here up in this front pack. Again, Gabe Butler trying to manage that inside line and trying to make that work, trying to control the race, but the TW Motorsports teammates of Randy Minor and Richard Sanchez in the middle, and then we have Derek Walker and Dan Harrington on the outside trying to make a name for themselves, trying to get their first win of the season. So it'll be exciting to see. We are going to come down to the stripe with 1 lap to go, this time by.
Absolutely, and you know, we are going to take the white, so we know the race will finish under green, but that doesn't mean these guys are all going to finish. They are all over each other as they go into turn 1. I can't tell you who's going to win because this outside lane is coming down all the way into the second lane's line, just trying to side draft. Huge run starting to come. Who's going to make the push down the backstretch and get that lead going into 3?
This is definitely the time to just push it and not worry about it. Seal it off and don't worry about that temperature. Just get behind the guy in front of you and push him as hard as you possibly can. Definitely an aggressive push. Oh, is the wreck? Wow, the field is going to wreck behind them. The only 2 left are Gabe Butler and Derek Walker. They're just going to side draft each other to the finish. I cannot believe it. Derek Walker has the advantage right now. Coming through the tri-oval. We'll see if Gabe Butler can make the side draft work again. Going to get a little bit sideways, but Gabe Butler might have a run. Who's going to do it? It's Gabe Butler. Wow. What a finish.
And that's where that extra that extra little bit from a 2.5 to a 2.66 mile track comes in handy. If we called it in the tri-oval, it was the 20. But we call it there on that short chute, and Gabe Butler took that bottom line. But if you go back and watch, man, what a perfect side draft Gabe Butler put on it. Got that right front on that left rear, took the air off, and then broke away from that 20 truck, taking that shorter distance, and it was just enough to get Gabe Butler yet another win. So not a first-time winner in this series tonight, but, man, I was just a couple of feet away from having that prediction, wasn't I, Boomer?
Yeah, that's crazy. That's, I mean, definitely some experience from Gabe Butler to kind of calm down and say, you know what, I've still got some time. Derek Walker, obviously, you know, on the outside trying to get that run going, but made his move, you know, the move that he had made it a little bit early. Obviously, if we were at Daytona, could have been calling Derek Walker our winner for the evening, but no, the experience of Gabe Butler gets it done. So we're going to take it back. We've got plenty of time to interview these guys here after this race, but we're going to try and see what we can do to come up with some of this footage here for that final caution. And, I mean, there's so much going on. Let's see if we can try and rewind it here and figure out what actually happened. So,
and this was nobody's incident here, right? These guys are going for the win. They're just super tight. You already see the dysfunction and kind of how these guys are all not in line with each other. And as we kind of watch this here in slow-mo, you're just going to see guys going for it, guys coming down, guys moving up. The 46 moved up a little, and that's all it took to have what I call the domino effect, where one hits the next, and next thing you know, you've got them all wadded up. Absolutely nowhere to go in the middle of 3 and 4. Charles Johnson going to ghost through his teammate, the first one, but the second one will collect him. I don't think anybody in the back. Maybe that 37 makes it through and the truck behind him, but other than that, everybody's pretty well tore up in this one.
Wow, crazy. So yeah, definitely going to take a second, try and get back to the beginning of that wreck again. It takes me a second, just the way that SDK here runs with the way that was called, but we're going to actually take a ride here on the roof of the 82. We're going to see a crazy ride here. At some point, he's going to get hooked here, trying to just push Derek Walker and doing a great job of pushing just to try and get him to the lead. This 82 is going to take a big run up the wall, and man, quite a crazy experience. Probably going about 160 here. We'll see. Pull it, see if we, or no, can't pull it up on a replay. I apologize, but yeah, definitely taking the wall right here, and gonna go up on his lid at some point. Pretty crazy ride for him for sure. So hopefully he's okay after that big wreck. A lot of guys kind of in the middle of that wreck there, but apologies, we came off of it just a bit there. So yeah, definitely a lot of chaos going on here with that final wreck of the evening, taking out most of these drivers here towards the front of the pack. But yeah, that was looked like the 46. He had a couple bobbles on the inside lane, a couple laps in the tri-oval prior to the final lap, and finally gets a bobble in turn 3 that really seems to set off the chaos of this final caution. But man, the 59 actually looks like here was able to get back going about as straight as he possibly could, had enough of a run, got around a couple of these guys, and he actually took home the 3rd place finish, so that was big for him for sure. Definitely a big points night. Most of the rest of the playoff drivers, I mean, really just, I mean, it's kind of a mixed bag. You know, obviously we mentioned the struggles of BK Anderson and some of the other drivers, but Gabe Butler really, I mean, absolutely solidifying his chance at the championship tonight for sure.
Gabe Butler also the only driver in the playoffs to not receive an incident point tonight. So 3 extra points go his way on top of the
That's
race
crazy.
win and everything else. So
Yeah, crazy. So we're now going to try and take a chance to bring some of our drivers up into the broadcast booth and give them their rightful interviews for the rest or for their top 3 positions tonight. Gonna see if we can pop a couple in here in just a moment. Trying to get that organized from behind the scenes here. So take a second here. Actually, our first driver is going to be the 59 here that you see on the screen of Jay Hilliard, so we'll bring him up now. So definitely quite a bit of chaos here on that last lap, but able to prevail and be the first car of all the cars that wrecked to make it back to the checkered flag. Jay, take us through the chaos of that final lap.
Hey guys, thanks for broadcasting. Yeah, we I was just trying to get on the outside and try to make something happen, trying to push Todd to his, as close as we could to the front. And you know, when you're on the outside and things happen down on the bottom, there's not really nowhere to go. So I just tried to keep it straight and keep plowing through, and just as fate has it, I was able to limp my way over to the finish line in third. So um, nothing I did. It's just trying to keep the truck straight.
absolutely, Jay. Congratulations on that 3rd place finish. The one question I have for you tonight is, since these playoffs have started, we've kind of seen a different mantra for TW Motorsports. Typically, the first 8 races, you guys would really hang out in the back, try to miss the wrecks, and maybe by the end of the race, you were trying to make a push, but just like tonight, everybody was just wadded up everywhere and just nowhere to go. Seems like since the playoffs have started, especially the last race and tonight, definitely been a whole different story. Seeing the top 6 at one point tonight being all TW Motorsports drivers. Do y'all have a different approach in these playoffs, trying to help your 2 drivers that are trying to vie for this championship? Is that kind of the goal? Is run up front, let these guys lead the most laps, or kind of what's the strategy behind the team here?
Yeah, that's right, Maxwell. We were trying to, throughout the season, we're just trying to stay out of trouble, let the laps click off, and then at the end of the race, try to be there at the end, to get a top 5, top 6, points race. But once the playoffs start, the guys that are in TW who are in the playoffs, our goal has been is let's try to get up front, help them lead laps, as many laps as they can, and I think we did a pretty good job of that tonight. But that it was the goal.
Yeah, definitely quite a bit of teamwork working out for the TW Motorsports guys. We saw definitely Todd Siebel's able to lead a majority of what was probably maybe the middle third or so of the race. Were you guys really trying to focus as much as you can to get him and the 55 in Dean Wilkinson as much time at the front of the pack as possible? Was that something that you guys are trying to coordinate as a team to get your playoff drivers towards the front?
Yeah, that was the goal, and Dean got into a little bit of trouble on that first caution there. And so he had to use his fast repair. So he was just staying in the back, trying to avoid any trouble, and then hoping to get to the front enough to where we could push him to the front. But I don't know. I don't think that really ever come to fruition to where he could actually get up there and in the top eight or so. So, but yeah, that's the goal, was to get up there, run up front as much as possible. Gabe's was running strong. He's leading the points, so you got to do something different. If you want to beat those guys. So that's what we're trying to do.
Definitely exciting for sure, and kind of a crazy final lap, but able to jump up there and grab that third place position. Jay, want to give you the chance to give any thanks and shout outs for that third place position finish tonight.
Yeah, but I just want to thank you and Maxwell for broadcasting and GWC TV, and appreciate everything you guys do. And it was fun. Wish we could come out a little bit better and got a TW, motorsports truck in the winner's circle. But we'll try next week. Appreciate it, guys.
Definitely thank you as well, Jay, and excited to see you hop up there and get that third place finish tonight. So excited for him, and definitely some craziness for sure. But we're going to bring up one of our two drivers that made it through that craziness and just about was able to get there to the finish and try to contend for that win on the final lap. Derek, you were able to get ahead of that outside lane there and really just hold there and hold your position and try to do what you could. Got a couple fans chiming in on the YouTube chat for you tonight, so take us through that final lap and what it took to get to that finish.
Yeah, thank you. It was it was wild, honestly. I was just trying to hang on. My teammate Dan Harrington was behind me, pushing me. I think he was blinking red for 2 laps. He just wasn't lifting. I told him, I said, just give me all you got. And he was, though. We were doing a real good job. He was killing it up there, helping me out. And that's what it takes to get around these guys, I think, because they work together real well up there. Those TW guys, there's so many of them. It's hard to get a good run on them. But yeah, that last lap was wild. It was we were doing a lot of pinching. I think from all lanes, every lane was pinching everybody. So I'm surprised we went that long without wrecking. Honestly, everybody did a really good job, and I just got real lucky to miss that wreck at the end. I just wish I would have played it right with Gabe, come to the finish.
Absolutely. So great second place finish there, Derek. But you mentioned it, right? You wish you could have done a little bit better there with Gabe Butler. I mean, you are talking about a guy with multiple championships in Area 51, a dominant driver here on the Super Speedway circuit. I believe we talked pre-race that he's not finished outside the top 5 all season. Continues that tonight, but enough about him. I'm not saying all that to negate anything you did. I'm bringing that up to say, against such a driver, as y'all were making it through that wreck, and as you almost had him cleared in the tri-oval, what do you think you could have done differently in that tri-oval to have held on for that race win tonight?
Yeah, I think I really needed to make a change right when the wreck happened. Instead of getting down beside him, I should have tucked in behind him and tried to make a little bit later of a run around him. But I just had such a good run, and I'm a race car driver, Max. I just gotta roll with that run, and I was just hoping I'd be able to clear him and get down in front of him, and I wasn't. I may have been able to sneak down there, but it would have been a really close move, and I didn't want to chop off Gabe's nose. He's a good guy, good driver, and wanted to race him as clean as possible, and I appreciate him racing me clean as well. Maybe I could have broken away, went up a little higher there when he started to get a run, break that draft. I'm really not sure at that point. I just think the timing just was not my friend tonight. Yeah, just a huge shout out first of all to my spotter Skylo. She has stepped up and helped me with this, and really helped me miss a lot of the wrecks and stuff tonight that happened. Seemed like all around me. So big shout out to her, and thank you to her for helping me. And then to the lug nuts, the ones on the Twitch channel. My Jalopy Twitch channel is full of crazy people over here, and I'm glad to see them over there supporting you guys. You guys do an incredible job. Just a big shout out to all the admins that put this on, and to you guys at Green White Checker TV. It's always a blast to go back and watch. This one's definitely going to be a fun one to watch for sure. And big shout out to Gabe for the win.
Awesome. Well, we definitely appreciate that, Derek, and excited to see get that second place. A lot of your fans hoping to see that number one position coming soon. So definitely working your way towards the front of the pack, and excited to see for sure. So we will move on now to our winner for the evening, and I mean, really the guy who's done just about everything so far this season. I think. Just about perfect so far for top 5 finishes as many starts on the season. Gabe Butler, I mean, how many interviews have we had with you? And you know, you've been able to really be the class of the field just about all season long. But you know, I want you to first take us through what your thoughts were kind of on that final pit stop strategy that got you to the lead and gave you that position that allowed you to get that win.
It worked out really good for us. We were discussing it for a few laps there, and we wanted to do the undercut, and we knew we would be taking less fuel, so that got us ahead and worked out really well. So hats off to JD and Eric, and I think Dave Overstreet tried to come in with us, but had a little bit of a mishap, and we thought that might have hurt us, but myself and JD got a good out on the pits, and really worked out.
Gabe, used to talking to you in this position. Great win tonight. Didn't see you most of the race, kind of hung out there. I know your tricks, Gabe. You's back there saving that fuel, trying to get them fuel numbers right. Pulled it off to perfection. Yet again, the first group to come down pit road. So you pulled that strategy off right. But then you're sitting there running 3 by 3 by 3 those last few laps, knowing that at any moment an accident could happen to take you out of this and really make next week a lot tougher than it needs to be. But the wreck ended up happening right behind you, took your teammate and everything, and put you in a one-on-one duel with that 20, which the 20 almost cleared you for that win, but somehow in the trial you pulled that off. Why don't you tell us, how did you pull that move off to get past that 20 for that race win?
Yeah, that was an unfortunate wreck because that was going to be an exciting finish. And after all, JD's hard work pushing to get taken out like that kind of sucks. Of course, a lot of people were caught up in it. Unfortunately, you know, Todd, championship contender too, got killed in it, and DK had an issue earlier on in the race. But yeah, it's a shame that happened. But it was down to me and Derek there at the end, and props to him for having a real good race tonight. He did a fantastic job. But I think maybe a little bit of inexperience on his part. I think he took me a little bit too early. He might have been clear. I'm not sure, but I don't think he was. If he had came down, I think we both would have wrecked. So props to him for making the correct decision there. And I figured I'd just let off the gas just a little bit to get him past me, and then hopefully side draft him back. And I was able to do that. I was able to get on his quarter panel and pull him right back and drafted him to the line. That worked out.
Yeah, definitely a great opportunity there for you to take that win. You know, you guys did what you needed to do to get yourself in the position to make it happen. Obviously, unfortunate JD was kind of collected in that final wreck. Nothing of his doing, but able to him come home in 9th place, and you know, I think really has to do with you know, your team planning and your guys' ability to get down and in and off of pit road so quickly. So definitely a huge opportunity there for tonight. I mean, did you expect to be in this position after we saw all of the TW Motorsports guys really, I mean, just about commanding all of this race. I don't know who led the most laps, but I would assume, if without knowing, it might have been Todd Siebels. But the TW guys are really at the front of this pack all race long. Did you expect to be able to get back to a position where you could contend with a few of your teammates not making it out tonight?
Yeah, we always think we can contend, and it's just a matter of executing it. I mean, TW did a great job tonight. They looked like they were going to control the race and have a good finish, but we were kind of strategizing as the race went on, and like I was telling Max, we were kind of figuring out our fuel, and we figured we'd be able to outpit them based on the fuel, and we had a really, really good last pit stop. And I mean, as you know, that can definitely lose your race, and sometimes they can win your race. And in this case, it got us in a position to be able to win the race. So, I will say it without your teammates. If you're by yourself on a super speedway, you're just going to be out of luck, especially with big teams in here like that. So, I mean, all credits due to my teammates, in all honesty.
Yeah, definitely a big win again tonight. Back to back, fourth of the season, second in the playoffs. I'm assuming you're probably feeling pretty comfortable now with that playoff lead. Gonna look to probably see some excitement still in Daytona. I'm sure the work's not just done just yet, but we'll definitely look to see you as again the favorite coming into next week as well, and looking forward to it. But want to give you a chance to give your thanks and shout outs for another win on the season.
Props to JD, Eric, and we had Robert Jordan running with us tonight, so that was awesome. And shout out to Area 51 for putting this show on, and for you guys doing a great broadcast as usual, Boomer. You and Max do a fantastic job. It's great to listen back to it and get your guys' point of view. So we always look forward to that and hope the fans enjoyed it tonight.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate that as well. Not just from you, but there's a lot of drivers in the league that do take the time to rewatch these broadcasts. So it's fun for us to bring it to you and to give you that opportunity to watch it back as well. So we appreciate you as well, Gabe. So thanks again, and another well-earned win tonight for Gabe in the number one truck. I mean, Maxwell, he's been the class of the field just about all season long. I mean, do you see this championship going any other way?
I think we're going to have a really good battle for second next week. We don't see the points yet, guys, on the broadcast. We don't see them yet. We'll see them probably tomorrow. But I guarantee you that if he's got over a 30 or 35 point lead, it is secured, wrapped up. He could finish dead last, not make a single lap, and probably still win this championship. So just so many playoff drivers had bad luck tonight. And not only did he win, but he also got a lap led bonus point. And he didn't get the pole, so he didn't get that bonus point, but he did get the lap led, he got the clean race, and he got the win bonus points. So definitely racking in the points tonight. I've raced with Gabe multiple seasons, and I was in that boat where if I couldn't beat him, I had to join him. That's why I joined Boot Knocker last season to get to run with him a little bit. Back in the broadcast booth this season, having a great time doing this. But I know how those guys race. I mean, it's just right there. It's just they're fast. They know what to do. They know how to pit. They know their exact fuel numbers. So Gabe Butler, this is just my personal opinion. This championship is won by Gabe Butler, but we do have awards for second and third place in points, and we're going to have to watch that really tightly because some guys wasn't able to make it tonight. I'm calling them pretty well out of the running, but we're going to have about 4 guys probably really fighting tooth and nail next week at Daytona for second and third in these standings to where they can end this season with some little something. So be interesting to see how they race. Gabe Butler has nothing to lose. I don't see what stops him from going for yet another win next week.
Yeah, definitely. I believe we were actually supposed to be at Daytona this week, but we're going to flip that in the schedule. So go Daytona, Daytona, Talladega, Talladega, Daytona for the playoffs here. So next week the finale should be at Daytona, whereas before it was planned to be here at Talladega, but going to flip those last two races, and definitely going to be exciting for sure. A little bit of a different strategy at both plate races. You know, we've mentioned multiple times that Talladega is the bigger track, not in width, but also in length. So it'll be interesting to see how the strategy changes just a bit at the World Center of Racing, but going to be exciting for sure. See if Gabe Butler can seal the deal, or if anyone can even come close to him and try to steal that championship away. But I think for the most part, it's definitely going to come down to the show of second place and who could win that. You know, there's still, like you said, still points for for second on back in the field. So it'll be just even if you do finish top 5 or top 10 in points, it's still a big honor to finish as high up in the points as you can. And there's a couple drivers vying for 9th place of all the drivers, the top of the drivers outside of the playoff standings. So it's going to be exciting for sure. We'll try to capture all of that action that we can next week. Going to take a quick second here to bring up our results from tonight. Obviously, we mentioned Gabe Butler taking that win. Derek Walker jumping in there, not one of the TW Motorsports or the Team Bootnaka guys. Going to grab that second place position, and the TW driver Jay Hillard in third. We've already interviewed. We do have Bob Fitzgerald and Dan Harrington, a couple of the some of the guys without a ton of help in the field. So excited to see, even though Team Bootnaka and TW Motorsports were lined up quite a bit with their teammates all night long, there's still quite a bit of guys who are able to get it done, and saw a lot of guys early on in the race getting a chance to make their way towards the front, so that's exciting for sure. But we'll continue on with the rest of the positions for tonight, or the standings. So Charles Johnson was in 6th place, Richard Sanchez in 7th, David Overstreet in 8th, JD Crow in 9th, and Dean Wilkinson in the playoffs as well in 10th. Derek Gilray 11th, Joshua Gathright in 12th, Randy Miner 13th, Jason Adams in 14th, and your top 15 goes to Eric Laurie. Todd Siebels finished in the 16th position, with Dave Bingle and Robert Jordan behind him in 18th place. To the second page, or the last page of results. Tom Dixon there going one lap down on that pit strategy, and didn't work out for him, unfortunately, for the rest of the night. He's going to finish 19th, with Robert DuPont, the first car, 2 laps down, in 20th. Keith Horner in 21st, and BK Anderson after that tough issue by himself and getting collected in that accident, and not much he can do there, finishing in 22nd, 2 laps down. Bud Steele back there, 2 laps down as well, in 23rd, and Jimmy Crow Jr. will round out the drivers who started this race. So definitely quite a bit going on tonight, and a lot of excitement. We do look forward to being back next week at, I would assume, Daytona International Speedway, the World Center of Racing. Gonna be an exciting finish to the season. See if Gabe Butler can close out that championship. He's gonna have quite a bit of a points lead over the rest of the field, and that battle for second is guaranteed. Just starting to continue to ramp up. So please make sure to tune back in next week here on Thursday nights for the Area 51 Thursday night Truck Super Speedway series. We've got quite a bit of other series going on in the league that are going to have their final races of the season throughout the week. So we do have the second to last race of the season in the Sunday night Xfinity Super Speedway Series as well, here on Green White Checker TV. And then next week we'll kick off Monday night. The Next Gen Series will have their first race, or their final race, I should say, of the season, followed by the Tuesday IndyCar Series finale. And then here on Thursday night, the Truck Super Speedway Series finale. And again, followed by the Sunday night Xfinity Super Speedway Series finale in just over a week's time. So a lot of excitement here going on Green White Checker TV. So we appreciate everyone tuning in or watching back. Hope to see you all back here in a week, and as we get through the rest of the finales of the season. A lot of excitement, and hope to see you all soon, and hope you have a great rest of your week.